Opening invocation. Welcome.
Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Okay, good. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing. Before I begin, I want to thank Jennifer Farron for opening music, and she's going to do the opening prayer also, so we don't want to forget that. But good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
And good morning, all of the online congregation and all 100 of you that are present. I appreciate your presence. And thank you for joining us in this spirit of perfect harmony. We are the Center for Spiritual Living West Georgia. We study and practice the philosophy and science of the mind we know as God. And with our spiritual presence and participation in our service here this morning, we create a higher state of consciousness, rise above all of the negative energy we may have experienced this past week, and manifest love for the next week. Love is synonymous to God, as we know. We'll have an opening prayer. Jennifer's going to do that for us. Jennifer, if you would.
So let's center our energy. Since we are a center for spiritual living, let us dive into that name and own it, and let's center ourselves and take a few deep breaths, ground ourselves in the presence right here and right now. We give thanks for our safety. We give thanks for the joy that bubbles up from inside us and is within us. We give thanks for the light that shines out of us and into us and through us. We are so happy today to be here together with like-minded people. We are so happy to be able to express the consciousness of love and beautiful energy that we have. And in this happiness and in this joy, we say, thank you, God. Thank you, divine mind. Thank you, spirit. No matter what you call it, we thank the higher energy and higher power of the universe for bringing us together today and this wonderful, beautiful collective energy of people. We give thanks for our joy, and we say, and so it is.
So it is. Thank you, Jennifer. We'll proceed with the vision and mission statement in your handout. CSL West Georgia is a joyful global community where everyone belongs. Through our unique spiritual teachings, we provide a safe environment to experience compassionate living. And our declaration of principle, I believe that the universal spirit, which is God, operates through a universal mind, which is the law of God, and that we are surrounded by this creative mind, which receives a direct impress of our thought and acts upon it. We believe that healing of sick and the changing of conditions through the power of this mind, because God is personal to all who feel this indwelling presence.
And while you're still standing, all 100 of you, we're so glad that all 100 of you are here in-house today. We know we have a couple of hundred that are viewing right now, so we give you thanks for that.
Thank you, yes.
And we also give thanks to Ricky Byers, who wrote this beautiful congregational song called Pour Yourself in Me. Here we go. Pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart, whoa, whoa. Wonderful spirit, pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart, whoa, whoa. Wonderful spirit, pour your joy in me, pour your joy into my heart, whoa, whoa. Wonderful spirit, pour your joy in me, pour yourself into Spirit, shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, shine your light in me, shine your light into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, sing your song in me, sing your song into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, dance and smile in me, dance and smile into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, dance and smile in me, dance and smile into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, one more time, pour yourself in me, pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit, whoa, 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 wonderful Spirit, one more time, whoa, whoa, wonderful Spirit.
Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Jennifer. And now, our excellent to outstanding master teacher, Reverend Sandra Jackson, will proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mike. And now it is time for our reading. Kathy's doing our reading. You can't have this.
Wow.
Okay.
Testing. $5. Good morning, CSL West Georgia.
Good morning.
Very happy to be here today. The reading, I am just simply going to start. All things respond to the call of rejoicing. All things gather where life is a song. This is a message of the new order, the new life, the new time. It is the golden text of the great gospel of human sunshine. It is the central truth of that sublime philosophy of existence, which declares the greatest good is happiness, happiness and heaven, and it is here and is now. Wherever you are, or whatever happens or will happen, just be glad. Be glad because you are here. You are here in a beautiful world, and all that is beautiful may be found in this world. It is a world wherein all that is rich in life may be enjoyed beyond measure, a world wherein happiness may overflow internally and in every human heart, a world wherein all dreams of life we may realize, and all visions of the soul is made true. Then why should we not be glad? First of all, that we are here, that we are in this world, that we may stay here for a long time if we so desire, and enjoy every minute to the fullest. The real truth is that the world is nothing less than a limitless sea of happiness. That sounds like me. The vastness and glory of which we are just beginning to know, and life itself is a song. While time is one eternal symphony, to be in tune with life, therefore, and to be in harmony with the endless music of time, we must of necessity be glad. But after we have learned to be glad under every circumstance, it is no longer a necessity. It is a privilege. and has become a part of our active living, thinking self. Just be glad, and you will always be glad. You will always be glad and always have a better reason to be glad. You will have more and more things to make you glad. For great is the power of sunshine, especially human sunshine. It can change anything, transform anything, remake anything, and cause anything to become a fair and a beautiful self. Just be glad, and your fate will change. A new life will begin, and a new future will be drawn to you. All things that are good and desirable will come to you and in this world in greater measure, and you will be enriched far beyond expectations, both from the without and from the within. And the cause of the change is this, that all things respond to the call of rejoicing. All things gather with life in its song. Thank you.
Love that. That was beautiful. This is a song by my good friend out in San Diego, Terry Wilder, who now does gong therapy. She actually has the gongs and does gong therapy with people and with patients. She's quite a phenomenal woman, and this is her song called I Choose Joy. And I should say that every other word is I choose joy, I choose joy. So if you would like to sing along with me, and those of you at home that are watching, please feel free to do it. When the walls come tumbling down, I choose joy, I choose joy. When the world stops spinning around, I choose joy, I choose joy. When my heart is hard to move, and when my music's lost its groove, when I have too much to prove, I choose joy, I choose joy. Now when hate is all I see, I choose joy, I choose joy. When fear won't let me be, I choose joy, I choose joy. When betrayal and lies hide the light right from my eyes, well, I'll take a look inside and I choose joy, I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. When the world is what I hear, I choose joy, I choose joy. To be who I might be, for the light to shine in me, for the truth that sets me free, I choose joy, I choose joy. Let's do that breakdown again. Joy, 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 I choose joy. Joy, 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 I choose joy. In this moment right here, I choose joy, I choose joy. For the ones that I hold dear, I choose joy, I choose joy. Well, to be who I might be, for the light to shine in me, for the truth that sets me free, I choose joy, I choose joy. For the truth that sets me free, I choose joy, I choose joy. I hope you enjoyed that.
Yes. Absolutely. Good morning, everybody. And that song in our reading says it's on. Deborah said it was on. Come check it. No. Here, come. Hold on just a minute. Can you hear? Can you hear? Is it better? Because I asked Deborah to turn it on. Okay, good morning. I choose combobulation this morning. And there's joy in that. Thank you for being here this morning, Jennifer, and being able to fill in. I appreciate that. It is so nice to know that, you know what, things can go on without you. You know, sometimes we think that we're indispensable. We are not indispensable. And really, that is a good thing that we're not indispensable, you know, because it means that we have to depend on each other. It means that we're interdependent, and it means that we can find happiness in that we have others that we can depend on, that our circle is bigger than we necessarily recognize at sometimes. So thank you so much. And we can always choose joy, but we can also choose to be glad too. That reading was from Christian D. Larson. He was a metaphysician from around the turn of the 20th century. And he has a book on optimism. He's the optimist metaphysician, believe me. And so the thing is that the song is Choose Joy, and his reading is about being glad that you get a choice. These are choices that we make, and they're not just things that, you know, even when we have external circumstances, we can still look at those circumstances and choose to be joyful, to be happy, to be positive. And so, you know, today I'm going to talk a little bit about that. Our topic is, if you are happy and you know it. Remember that song? If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands. And then, of course, you got stomp your feet and doing all this stuff, right? How come we don't play that when we're adults? You know, I've done retreats, right? And every once in a while we'll do a retreat and we'll do some kids stuff like that, you know. And it's kind of fun to do it. But, you know, we get to be adults and it's like we get all stodgy and everything, and we don't do those kinds of things. But, you know, we are living in some rather difficult times, I think, right now. And, you know, and sometimes people find it hard to find happiness in difficult times. But I had this article that was written, and I was going through some papers and I ran across it this week. And it was called How to Find Happiness in Difficult Times. Guess when it was written? It's in the June and July issue of AARP magazine, 2020. So it was during the pandemic that it was written, and it was written, you know, by people looking at, you know, people having difficult times with the pandemic. The pandemic, by the way, is still going on, as we know. People are still dying from that. People are still getting sick. Some places in the world, they're still shutting down, like in China, they're still shutting down places. We have not shut down anything, but, you know, people are being asked to wear masks. Some people are wearing them, some people are not. And, you know, people are trying to get back to normal. And yet at the same time, normal is a war in Ukraine. That's not normal. There's baby food. Can you imagine? Did you know? I mean, it's been a long time since I had a baby. And by the way, we didn't use that kind of formula. We made our own. You know, if you're old enough, you made formula. You know, they can't make formula. Can you believe that? People cannot make formula. Everybody's on Similac. You know, it's like, and only 4 companies in this country make that food. That is just amazing. I just, you know, now those of us who don't have babies, let's just imagine, you know, so that we can connect with that. All right. And then we had the journalist killed in Israel and Palestine, and you know, even though they have war in Ukraine, there's war been going on over there for what? For decades. Yes, since World War II. They have not stopped. They've had one war after the other, or conflict or whatever. There's war in Yemen. Okay, I mean, there is so much turbulence going on, not to mention all the political stuff going on in our country. So there's all these things happening in the world, and we could just sit down, you know, and just go, I can't deal with this. I just can't do it. And I know people who just like, you know what? Years ago, they were like, I'm not watching the newspaper. They're reading the newspaper in those days. This is 80s, 90s, right? I'm not reading the newspaper. I'm not watching the news. It's too negative. Negative in the 90s? I mean, stop and think about this now. In the 80s and 90s, people were talking about it. The news is too negative. What on earth are those people doing now? I'm just like, what are you doing nowadays with, you know, now you got social media that is running stuff past you. You know, you can't pick up your phone. If you have a smartphone, you're getting news, like it or not. Okay, well, you can turn off the notifications, but how many people know how to do that? Okay, so here's the thing. Stuff is coming at you, and if you don't know it, people are going to tell you. Did you hear about the shooting in Buffalo? Huh? Okay. I mean, didn't somebody tell you that? You didn't have to go to the news. Somebody told you about it. You know, there is so much stuff going on. We have to know how to find the joy and the happiness. And the woman who wrote the article about, you know, that wrote the article in the magazine, she said what she said is that you have to cultivate how you can be happy in turbulent crisis. You have to cultivate relationships and have positive and look for positive meaning. So you have to look for something positive, which is what Be Glad was about. You have to look. The song is like, you have to look for these positive things. And the interesting thing is, she said that they did studies, you know, these college people, they do studies, right? And she said that after 9/11, people obviously were very upset, you know, about the whole thing. But a few months after, people started finding that they had a positive outlook on life, that their happiness had started to come back again. And it's like they have found that in multiple situations where people have been in these difficult situations. They have come back to having a feeling of optimism that was even larger than it was before that event happened. Okay, why is that? Stop and think about that. Well, for one thing, the title of the thing says that human beings just have this natural thing to find joy, that it's wired into our brains, that we have the capacity to find meaning, to find positivity, to find joy in our lives. And I think what happens is we just get overwhelmed with all this stuff and said, shoot, I'm tired of this. I'm going to be happy no matter what. I'm going to look for the joy. I know I can find it. I've been joyful before. So I think part of the meaning of all this stuff going on, you know, take it or leave it, okay? I'll give it to you. You do with it what you want, okay? But I think the meaning to all of this stuff goes back to 1968. That was the year that Dr. King was assassinated and Robert Kennedy was assassinated, and they had riots all over the world, all over the country, and there was a lot of turmoil going on, right? Guess what happened on December 24th, 1968? I'll bet you guys don't know. I bet you don't know either. There was a photograph taken from the moon by William Andrews. He was an astronaut, and he took a picture of the Earth, and it's called Earthrise. And what it shows is this blue, some people call it marble. It's just, you can't see, all it has is cloud cover and blue. That's all you see, and just a little teensy bit of brown. At that point, I think things changed. I think that's when globalization started. And the reason for it is that we had never seen our planet from that place. We'd had models of it and everything, but nobody had been out there and said, this is what Earth looks like. And instead of moonrise and sunrise, it was Earthrise. And the Earth was one. It was a manifestation of the oneness that we have been teaching. Not just New Thought and religious science, not the only ones that teach that. Okay? The Buddhists teach oneness. Islam is, Islam had, first of all your major religions have a mystical sect to them, okay? The Islam is Sufis, okay? The Catholics also have mystical. If you're Catholic or you grew up a Catholic, you did not get the real true teachings of Catholicism unless you studied. You talk to those Jesuits. I had a friend who was a Jesuit priest, right? Guess what he studied? Zen. I read another book, and it was about this Catholic monk, and he went, and he was in the mountains of California, and he stayed up there, and there was a monastery where they were silent. Okay, they did no talking, and here he is up there reading and studying. That's all they did. Guess what he comes up with? Oneness. Oneness. Okay, the man was afraid of snakes. And so he said, you know what? If this oneness thing is really true, I'm going to prove it. He started talking to the snakes, and he got to the point where he realized you and I are one, and he let the snake crawl on him. Now, I know you sit there going like, I'm not with that oneness. Okay, can't even. But he's a Catholic. He's a Catholic, and he's been studying, and what Catholicism, the true Catholicism teaches is oneness. Think about the Pope. The Pope has studied this. He knows this truth. Why do you think the Pope is going around going like, embrace your brothers and sisters who are gay? Because he knows it's about oneness, okay? The Sufis teach oneness. My friend Patty, she spoke for us once. She's the one going on the trip with us. She has she belongs to a group called Golden Age. What are they teaching? Oneness. And they're teaching people all over the world how to meditate and be one. Stop and think about it. Paramahansa Yogananda years ago, okay, oneness. Krishnamurti, oneness. All of them, the Hindus, the Muslims, everybody in the mystical level teaches oneness. New Thought teaches oneness too, because New Thought is a mystical religion. It's a mystical spiritual teaching. Think about this, okay? You're not getting the dogma and the stuff, do this and you'll go to heaven. We ain't promising you heaven. Nope. We're not even promising you there is a heaven, okay? Unless it's right here on earth. Okay, we're not telling you you're going to go to hell if you don't teach this or you don't do that. Okay, we have a mystical religion that teaches oneness, and I think Earthrise was a manifestation of oneness, and we have all been moving towards it because all the religions are moving towards it. All this, and what's happening? People are not going to churches anymore that tell you you have to do this, you have to be like that. People are looking to have a sense of unity and oneness and closeness and connectedness. There's people who are fighting against it. I'm not telling you that there's not. But there is this movement, and stop and think about it. When you look at the earth from outer space, there are no borders, there are no nations, there are no divisions. There is only one. And we're all here. And we will all go up in a blaze of glory, or we will all sink this earth one way or the other. We will be together. It doesn't matter if you live in Arizona, California, Georgia, Ukraine, Africa, Egypt, South America. We're all in this together. There is only one planet. There's only one earth. This is it. And I'm not talking about climate change. I am talking about us having a consciousness of realizing that there is only one. In 1938, during the Depression, Harvard started a study, and they wanted to study how people fared in terms of their health and well-being. What is it that, made for a healthy and good life? One of the people, they took 238 Harvard men, because at the time they didn't have any women. But they took 238. Two of those men were John Kennedy, and who became president, and Bill Bradley, who became the editor of the Washington Post for many, many years. Anyway, they studied these men, and the study is now 83 years old. They've had 4 different directors. And I copied it. I just want to tell you a little bit about it. They said, over the years, researchers have studied the participants' health trajectories and their broader lives, including their triumphs and failures in careers and marriage, and the finding that produced startling results. So here's the thing. They just let those men live their lives. They did not try to say, do this, do that. They just let them live their lives. And so they would study them periodically. And in the 70s, they added a group of, I think, 456 men from the inner city of Boston. Now, I think it's really interesting that none of these say, deal with people's race. So I don't know. All they're talking about is these are men, okay? Eventually, they started looking at their wives and their children. They have like 1,300 children, in them. And there's about less than 20 of them that are still alive, now today. But the surprising finding is that our relationships and how happy we are in our relationships has a powerful influence on our health. That's one thing. Second thing, he said, taking care of your body is important, but tending to your relationships is a form of self-care too. That, he said, is a revelation. Now, why is it a revelation? Because we don't do a good job. We spend more time taking care of our bodies than we do taking care of our relationships. Think about that. You get up every morning, you shower, you brush your teeth, you comb your hair, you do all of this stuff to take care of your body. You may go exercise, maybe, and you try to eat healthy. Some of us are getting rid of sugar or this or that. You look and see, you pay. Now, how much care do you spend taking care of the relationships in your life? Stop and think about it. How regularly do you call the people that you love and you say, I love you, and give them a hug or whatever? How often do you connect? One of the things that happened during the pandemic was people calling people that they hadn't talked to in a while, starting to connect to people that they're, and what they're saying. They studied this stuff for 80 years, and what they're coming out with is relationships. I could have told them that. You know why? Because I have been with people when they're dying, and they never ever talk about what they did not do in terms of their business, their work, their houses. They didn't say, I wish I had built a bigger house. I wish I had, done all of this other stuff. They said things like, I wish I had different relationships with my children. I know a woman who had bone cancer. She lived an extra 8 or 9 months for one reason, and she was in a lot of pain during that time because bone cancer is very painful. She was in a lot of pain. She shrunk like about 5 inches because her body was compressing like this, and that's part of the pain, right? Why did she stay alive? Because she wanted to heal the relationships between her husband and her children who were going to be left behind. That's not that is not about, cars and houses and stuff. That's about relationships. People need to connect with one another. And that's what, we have studies showing this stuff. They say close relationships more than money or fame are what keep people happy throughout their lives. Those ties protect people from life's discontents, help to delay mental and physical decline, and are better predictors of long and happy lives than social class, IQ, or even genes. This finding proved true among the Harvard men and their inner city participants. Stop and think about that. That the relationships are more important than anything else we have going on. And yet, they're probably what we spend the least amount of time with, right? They said that people who were the most satisfied in their relationships at age 50 were the healthiest at age 80. Now, I thought that was very interesting. That's a 30-year difference. So go back and, were you happy at age 50? If you haven't gotten to 50 yet, well, start thinking about being happy so that when you get to 50, you will be happy. Because then you get to be 80 and you're still doing well. Stop and think about that, okay? I'm not 80 yet, so I'll have to tell you. I have a while to go. All right, so he also said, those who kept warm relations got to live longer and happier. Get this, loneliness kills. It's as powerful as smoking or alcoholism. Think about that. How many people that are alcoholics or they smoke and they're killing themselves? And yet, we don't think anything at all about being lonely. And yet, when they're saying that loneliness is more powerful a killer, people die of loneliness. Now, they just did a new census, right? Guess what? 34 million Americans live alone. 34 million Americans. That's, I think they said 34% of the population, something like that. I know I'm one of them. So here's the thing. People who live alone need what? One thing. What do they need? Community. They need community. They need to build relationships. And you stop and think about it. I know for myself, speaking for myself, there are times when I'm home alone and it's like, I ain't going out. I don't feel like getting dressed and going out. And then my neighbor calls up and says, you want to walk the dog? She lives alone too. All right. So the thing is that we don't even think about that, do we? We just live alone, and many of us are women. And they said in the study, because they found, because they started researching the wives, women who felt securely attached to their partners were less depressed and more happy in their relationships 2.5 years later, and they also had better memory functions. So women have better memory functions. So if you want to keep from having Alzheimer's, it sounds like you need to be in a good relationship, okay? Good relationships, they say, don't just protect our bodies, they protect our brains. And good relationships They don't have to be smooth all the time. Now, this was very interesting, I thought. He said some of our octogenarians, the 80-year-old couples, could bicker with each other day in and day out, but as long as they felt that they could really count on the other when the going got tough, those arguments didn't take a toll on their memories. I don't think that is necessarily, if you live alone, if you're not married, because a lot of us are not married, if we're not, and you still have people that you bicker with. And what they're saying is it's not the bickering. I think it's the forgiveness and the making up. Okay, it's the forgiveness and making up. And we all have difficulties with relationships, don't we? I mean, everything doesn't run smoothly, okay? The world is filled with people who believe in that we're separate, that we're not one. And so, or they're fearing that if you really got to know me, you really wouldn't like me. That kind of thinking not protects us, but it shields us and keeps us from having decent relationships that are harmonious. Everybody has flaws. Everybody has something they're ashamed of. Everybody has difficulties in their life and find themselves in situations where they don't know what to do. Everybody. There is no one who is exempt from having problems and difficulties in their life. The thing is that we deal with them differently. Some of us just bury them. Oh no, that's not me. I could not be like that. I'm not ashamed of anything I ever did. Liar. Okay? Stop and think about it. I mean, come on. How much? If we were to go and put your life out on the movies, okay? Would you want all of it there? No. No, that means there's something in your life that you are not happy with and that you are ashamed of and you don't want anybody to know about. So the thing is that it's not about what you've done. It's about who you are and the connections that you make and realizing that your relationships are the most important thing in your life. And what are relationships? They are oneness. They are a manifestation of oneness. Think about it. They are a manifestation of oneness. And in Science of Mind, we teach that out of the unity, the oneness, comes the multiplicity, the many. So, who was in class the other night? This is the example I gave the other night, and it was like, woo, we all noticed something new, okay? Think about this. You have a bucket of water, all right? And I give Kathy some ice cube, a tray of ice cubes, okay? And Jennifer has another tray of ice cubes, okay? They're different, right? Hers looks like bananas or whatever, and hers look like screwdrivers or whatever. I don't know. Anyway, they are different, okay? Gloria's got some others, all right? And maybe Lily has some, and Cherise has some, okay? Everybody has a different set of molds for their ice cubes, right? You all go to the water and you scoop out the water, and you scoop out the water, you fill your trays with the water, right? Then you take them to your home, you put them in your freezer, they freeze, you come back, they're all frozen. They're all different, but they all came from the same source. Do you see? So that the source is the unity. But each one of you has made different ice cubes. And even though the ice cubes are different, you lay them all out on a table, they're all different. And guess what? They all came from the same source. So you have the unity and a multiplicity of shapes from these ice cubes. And when they melt, what happens? They all go back to the same source. It's exactly the same water. Do you see? That's life. We've all come from the same source. We live our multiple lives, and then we return to the same source. And what the teaching is, in terms of what they're saying here with this study, is that your ice cubes can talk to each other and relate to one another. Because why? They are the same. They are the same substance. They look different, but they are the same substance. And so the desire for love and joy and happiness and peace and harmony and goodness is within all of us. We all have that desire. We all have the capacity to be glad. We all have the capacity to choose joy. We all have the capacity to be happy. But our happiness, what is happy for Mike, is not necessarily what's going to be happy for Connie. Do you see? And so what's the difference? It doesn't matter. It's just happy. Happy is happy. Just be happy on your own. Each one of us has that choice. And our relationships are the things that are going to make us the happiest in our life. And yet they're the things that we spend the least amount of time on. Stop and think about it. So tomorrow, when you get up and you're washing your face and you're brushing your teeth, ask yourself, who do I need to connect with today? Well, you don't have to wait that long. You can ask that today. Who do I need to connect with this afternoon? Who is it that I need to be with? So when the study began, nobody cared about empathy or attachment. But this is what the previous leader, they've had four directors for this project, and this is the fourth one, the third one that said this. When the study began, nobody cared about empathy or attachment, but the key to healthy aging is relationships, relationships, relationships. He wrote a book called Aging Well, and he said there were 6 factors that predicted healthy aging for the Harvard men. 1, physical activity. So get off of the couch and get busy exercising, walking, or doing whatever, playing squash, tennis, golf, whatever, physical activity. 2, the absence of alcohol. So if you drink, now it's not just alcohol, it's the abuse of alcohol. So absence of alcohol abuse and the abuse of smoking. So smoking, you've been told for years. All right, that's 3. 4, having mature mechanisms to cope. Get this. Having mature mechanisms to cope with life's ups and downs. Life has ups and downs. We have difficulties. We're having a pandemic. How are you dealing with it? Okay. 5, enjoying both a healthy weight and a stable marriage. Now, some of us are not married, so we can't necessarily have a stable marriage, but that was one of them for them. And for the inner city men, guess what? Education was an additional factor for their happiness. So the more educated you are, okay? Now, the thing is that you can eat, he said that these men were more likely to stop smoking, eat sensibly, and use alcohol in moderation. Genetics, he said, and long-lived ancestors proved less important to longevity than the level of satisfaction with the relationships in midlife, like in your 50s, okay? So, but it's not too late. If you're still here, that's what we teach. If you're still here, guess what? You still can choose joy. You can still be glad. You don't have to be in a situation where you just go like, oh, well, I'm past midlife. I'm over and done, and I'm gonna be done. I'm done, okay? And here's the interesting thing. If you have had train wrecks in the early part of your life, you know, you drank too much, you did drugs, you did, you know, you slept around, you did this and that, you know, you did all these bad things, okay? He said those who were clearly train wrecks when they were in their 20s and 25s turned out to be wonderful octopus 80-year-olds. I don't know how to say that name. On the other hand, alcoholism and major depression could take people off people who started life as stars and leave them at the end of their lives as train wrecks. Isn't that interesting? Wow. So if you're a young person, you can turn your life around. But too much glory in the beginning, too much. Stop and we've all heard stories of movie stars who succeeded, early in life. Wasn't Kurt Cobain one of those guys? I don't remember. Somebody mentioned him to me earlier this week. But the thing is they had too much fame too early, didn't know how to cope with it, and so consequently they've lost the money, they've done drugs, they die early, and that's what they're saying here. That we have life experiences that hopefully we're learning from. And it seems to me what they're saying is that the 20 and 25-year-olds, they had life experiences, they did all this wild stuff, but they learned something from it. And they realized this is not how to live my life. I want to make some new choices. You see? Whereas the others kind of got thrown into the flashy flyer pan, got too much notoriety too soon, and not having people to help them deal with it. Britney Spears, I think, probably is a good example. So here's the thing. It's about relationships. It's about relationships. It's about relationships. In The Science of Mind, Ernest Holmes says, it is all the same. One substance in the universe, taking different forms and shapes and becoming different things. Unity is expressed in multiplicity. And so we have this great big marble earthrise that was taken with a 70-millimeter camera because they didn't have digital in those days. So here we have earthrise. It is all one. And then when we open our eyes and look around, we see the multiplicity of it all. I saw something, this week that was just beautiful, because this month we're talking about wonder. I don't know if you know it, but Georgia doesn't have a lot of rainbows. I lived in California for a long time. We would always see rainbows over there. And if you've gone to Hawaii, you go to Hawaii for a week and you see rainbows. I mean, they're just all there all the time. I saw a rainbow the other day. I was driving down the street and I looked up, and there were a lot of trees on the street because everybody's got trees now. And I looked up in the sky and it's like clouds, and there's this bright rainbow, like half of it. And it stayed there for a while, and it just felt so good. And it was like, you're just like, wow, these are, like in the Bible is the rainbow. It's like there's always something that says there's something to be joyful about, something to be glad about. And sometimes it's a rainbow, but those relationships are real important. So get busy working on those relationships, because I know there's at least one person you're going like, I need to connect with that person today or tomorrow. Yeah. And for those of you who are single and live alone, you got to be like me. You got to work at it. It's not so easy. You have to work at it. Let us close our eyes and turn within and recognize and know in this very moment that the truth of who we are is spirit, that we all come from that one, that there is only one. There is one life, one spirit, one beingness, one wholeness, one goodness, and one love. And it is from that source that each one of us lives and moves and has our being. And so this day, as we recognize and realize that it is absolutely imperative to our health and well-being that we learn to relate to one another, that we learn to lift up ourselves and others through our connectedness, through our oneness, through the realization that who we are is spirit. And so when we reach out across the difficulties, the pain, the bickering, the arguments, and we allow ourselves to simply forgive ourselves for the separation and for others for their separation. We just allow ourselves to become one once again. Because it is from this one that we have come, and from this one that we shall return. So all of our multiplicity is but an illusion of the oneness. And so right here, right now, knowing this is the truth of who we are, I speak my word and know that each one of us knows this truth intuitively. We know it without my words. We know it within ourselves. And so today we choose joy. Today we choose joy. Today we choose to be glad. And we open our hearts and minds to all those who are around us as we look at them with a positive intention and know that something great and wonderful and magnificent is occurring in, through, and as them, just as it is with us. And so our relationships are blossoming and blooming and growing and expanding just as the flowers are this spring. And so we rejoice that this is the truth of who we are. We rejoice that it is so. We rejoice that we know this truth. And we rejoice that we can indeed use it in our lives. And so with gratitude and thanksgiving, I release this word into the law of mind, knowing that it is occurring and showing up in each one of our lives in a very perfect way that is unique to us. And so it is. Okay, thank you.
I know everybody really appreciated the dance song that I did last time I was here, but the vibe right now doesn't really feel to me like we should be necessarily. I want to keep with this sacred energy that Reverend Sandra has created for us. Meister Eckhart once said, if the only words were thank you, that would be enough. And a lot of times our happiness and our joy are directly connected to being grateful. And so this is a song written back in 2008, and I call it a happy song. Oops, except we have to make sure the keyboard is on. I'm not sure why it's off. There it is. Okay. Pardon me. There we go. It powered down for the keyboard powered down and was enjoying Reverend Sandra's talk. If the only words were thank you, that would be enough. If all I could say was thank you, that would fill me up. And I would have the joy that life can bring. I'd have a happy song to always sing. You think you could sing that with me? If the only words were thank you, that would be enough. That would be enough. If all I could say, if all I could say was thank you, that would fill me up. That would fill me up, and I would have the joy that life would bring. And I would have the joy that life can bring. I'd have a happy song. I'd have a happy song to always sing. Same words, except love you. If the only words were love you, would say was love you. That would fill me up. That would fill me up. And I would have. And I would have the joy that life can bring. I'd have a happy song. I'd have a happy song to always sing. If the only words would bless you, well, that would be enough. If all we said was bless you, we would fill each other up. And we will have the joy that life can bring. We'll have a happy song to always sing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. Yeah. I've always liked that from Meister Eckhart. Yeah. So in your program, and up there is our conscious giving affirmation. Freely I give with a feeling of abundance, knowing that my gift blesses others and myself as well.
Yeah, you want to sing it with me? I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
And our Thanksgiving affirmation. I am grateful for the divine givingness circulating abundantly through my life, our community, and our world. So Charlize is here, and I want everybody to acknowledge that she did our logo over there for us.
Oh, beautiful.
Yes.
Nice.
So when we were talking to her, we were talking about putting it up here behind me. And when we got it, it did not fit here. And because we had a miscommunication about the size. But here's the thing. When Sandy and I were first here, we were walking around and we were talking about how this was going to be and everything. We were like, we need to put the guest table there because it's by the door, so forth and so on. And then there was that wall, and so we were like, you know, that would be a great place to put the Science of Mind symbol because you like to talk about it all the time and you could just point to it, right? And so guess what? Fits right there. So, you know, the thing is that sometimes we are doing things and we do not know that we are doing things for where they belong as opposed to where we think they belong. So let that be a lesson. If things don't go exactly the way you expect in your life, maybe they belong someplace that you did not think about having them, or you had thought about it and then forgot, right? So that just is just perfect there. So thank you so
Yeah,
much.
it's beautiful.
Yes. And then we also have above the kitchen, welcome to CSL West Georgia, where everyone belongs.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yes. So when you walk in the door, you look up there. Okay. So anyway, we are just coming along, blossoming here. So all of you, hundreds of people, they've got shares for all hundreds of you right here and out there. So show up. Okay. So, our announcements. One more thing. My friend Patty and I are sponsoring this trip to Mexico. It's a cruise. And in case you didn't notice, the cruises are not having any pandemic problems. They have been.
And they probably have some great deals going on right
They
now.
do. And this is a really great deal. You cannot get these suites at $11.50. Even now, those prices are going up. This but you have to register this month before the end of June. You have to secure your room and for $100, and then the payment has to be made by the end of June for the whole cruise. But you're not going to find a cheaper thing than this. And this is a really great cruise line. I've been on Royal Caribbean's.
They're the best.
Are the best.
They have the best entertainment.
They do. They have. I've been on several of their cruises, and you can't beat them. And the nice thing, if you want to stay at the suite level and you don't want to go down with the peons, you don't have to. So, yeah, with the ones that, the people who says, yes, well, I'm calling them peons. They're not really peons. They're people.
But we are all one.
But
right?
yeah, we are all one. Okay. But I know people, they have this image of cruises where everybody's, crowded into space. Nope. Number one, they're not crowding in them anymore because of the pandemic. But the other thing is that these are suites and they're special. So go online. There's paper. If you don't have it, I have one here. But and we put it in the newsletter. Go online and take a look. We've got pictures of the cruise. We've got pictures of where we're going to go and the activities we're going to have and all that. And please do share it with your friends and relatives, because we would really like to sell this out. We only have a few rooms, and we want to, we didn't, we at the time we did it in October. We didn't know how many we could do. So we just have a few rooms left. Okay. All right. I think that is it. Board meeting is not next week, but the week after. Okay. All right. Yes. No, this is third week. The board meeting is next week. Yes, I'm sorry. This is the third week of May.
May has 5 Sundays too, so it's
It has
confusing.
5. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. We're going to do something different on the 5th Sunday.
Yay.
You get to write down your questions and submit it to me, and I will answer your questions on the 5th Sunday. I'm not going to prepare it.
Oh, that's super cool. I love that.
Right? But, the thing is that we can have some questions in person, because I'm really good at the science of mind. Okay? But if you have one of those real intricate questions that you want to ask, write it down and send it to me. Do whatever. Look at Kathy's eyes lit up. You cannot write all the questions, okay?
And that goes for everyone viewing too. Make sure if they
You
have
too.
a question,
Yeah,
get it in
yes,
beforehand so
yes.
Reverend Sandra can have
And
it.
I'll sift through the questions. You can just email them to them. CSL, write this down. CSL West, WESTGA, Georgia, CSL West Georgia @gmail.com. Marsha can put it in the chat. What's the matter? Did I mess up something? Oh, okay. Okay, she said there, go like, oh my God. We're going to have fun that day. So send them to me in the email. And part of it, I want to have them, because some of them I'm assuming are going to be similar, and I can kind of, group them together so that, you can, kind of do that. And then we'll save a few minutes to just do impromptu stuff, okay? So that you can see if you can catch me up. I know some of you are going to want to. You out there too. Okay, let us do our closing.
All
And
right.
what we're going to do is we're going to say our closing affirmation, and then we're going to sing the peace song as our closing song. Okay. All right. We go forth today knowing that we are God's blessing in the world. Only good goes from us, and only good comes to us.
And so it is.
Okay. Thank you all for being here today, and see you next Sunday.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. United all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous love. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
All right. You can take this